Hi everyone, welcome to AJ Design Community. I'm Avin Shantirupa, hosting this today for AJ Design Community regarding sustainable architecture. Today we are going to interview one of our senior mentor, who is by name Mr. Chetan, Architect Chetan, who is having a 27 years of practicing experience in only sustainable architecture, and also he has done variety of projects from hospitality, residential, institutional, and one of his project which was inaugurated by our late president Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So his success ratio is very good in when it comes to sustainable architecture. He has worked for a lot of celebrities. One of the person I have met in my career is Mr. Chetan. So without wasting much of time, but before that I want to tell that he is also a certified biomimicry trainer. That is, even I am curious to know what it is all about that. And today we are going to talk about, for this whole podcast is all about making audience or public to understand what is sustainable architecture and how people practice that or professional practice it, and how it is very difficult or is it easy to make it, or how we are saving the environment through this sustainable architecture, and as well as how to work on the design format. Every questions we can ask in this particular podcast, and we'll let you know. And without delaying much on this, and some more introduction will be there, which we'll see in the end of this clip as well, of Architect Chetan and his projects as well. And also we'll share his details for you to reach out. Without wasting much time, I'll introduce our mentor and senior and a cute guy who has been always helped us, and he's also trained a lot of students into sustainable architecture. Welcome, sir. Welcome, Gurugale.
Thank you.
Thanks for your most valuable time for us. And today we are going to ask you a lot of questions regarding sustainable architecture.
Good.
And also there is one rapid round which you are going to answer some of the questions. And also we want to know some interesting and funny stories about clients and sites which all happened with your junior as well. So first, to ask the important question, everyone including me, what is the right meaning of sustainable architecture?
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks Avin for this opportunity, and looking forward to share my thoughts with your community. So I think, very interesting question. What is sustainability?
Yeah.
The whole idea of sustainability is simple. The distance between production and consumption should be as minimal as possible.
Okay.
That is what is sustainability.
Okay.
Which is about not using too much of resources from way far off.
You mean to say carbon print, which creates
it could be a carbon footprint. That's one of the basic definitions of sustainability.
Okay.
But the whole idea of sustainability itself is questionable. I told you that I'm going to make a controversial statement when asking me to talk about sustainability. But I'm saying that sustainability is not the way forward.
Yeah.
Because our definition of sustainability is to sustain how we are living in present life.
Okay.
But the way we are leading our present design life is not a sustainable way.
Yeah.
So we have to shift ourselves from this idea of sustainability to something called as regenerative.
Okay.
Which means that from doing less bad to the environment, we should start doing good to the environment.
Oh.
And thereby you're scaling up your definition of sustainability.
Oh, this is a good thing,
right? So
which we want to know.
So you can't say I'm just a sustainable architect, I'll sustain. Because we know now almost 40% of the world's waste is from the construction industry.
Yeah.
We now know that carbon footprint by manufacturing cement is humongous.
Yeah.
Right? We all know that.
Yeah.
So we can't say that we'll be sustainable by following the same system.
Okay.
Sustaining the same system. We might have to do good.
Okay.
Right? We might have to really look at what is the cycle of a material.
Oh.
What happens to the material after it is dead? Does it become land waste or can it become something else?
Okay.
So you need to start looking at everything in that perspective.
Oh.
And thereby you're making your building much more friendly to yourself and to the environment around you.
Oh, very good. But before that, I want you to give the elaboration on there is modern architecture, okay, and there is sustainable architecture. Now, modern architecture also, when it comes to design, they conclude it with using of sustainability system into it. But a lot of people which have seen the modern buildings, it could be high rises, it could be flyovers, when it comes to public infrastructure, and when it comes to commercial and residential, I have seen a lot of people using that uh, the construction methodology itself totally different from what you use for sustainability. So I want uh, fellow designers to understand what is the difference between what regular architecture design is being done in the market compared to the sustainable design.
Look, I think there's a flaw in two definitions.
Okay.
Sustainable building can be a modern building,
Yeah.
right? So to say that modern buildings are not sustainable and sustainability means only going back in time is wrong.
Yeah, that is what actually end users
Yes,
still
see.
today when they come to us as a consultants, they come to us except Totti Mane. Whenever they come to us for any commercial building or residential building, they want design to be done in a modern way. What in their language or what in their understanding, the modern means not using our exposed bricks, not using with MS.
Not really. Look, very frankly, say for example, we are doing a science center.
Okay.
We've done the master plan, which is around 250 acres,
Mm.
but right now we are doing one part of it.
Okay.
So this whole science center, which is a very modern
Yeah.
idea of the future,
Mm.
is completely built using sustainable materials,
Okay.
using concepts of what we call as defining sustainability. So you can still do a very modern expression using materials which are sustainable or design principles which are sustainable.
Ah.
At some places, I would say steel is a very sustainable material,
Okay.
which is not regularly in the equation when you say sustainable materials. Because I know that steel has got life beyond the life of that building.
Yeah.
If I'm able to resist rusting,
Mm.
I can use it even after the concrete has fallen off.
Yeah.
Right? All I need to do is to resist rusting.
Correct.
So if I'm doing my column beam structure in steel
Mm.
and everything else happens, and
Mm.
then like I've done in one of the houses,
Mm.
where after the life of the building, you can remove the steel and use it as something else.
Oh, is it?
Which means that this life cycle of that material is way longer
Mm.
than what the other materials in that place is.
Okay.
Say for example, we always think brick is a very brilliant sustainable material. So exposed brick. We don't realize that we use over 7,000 hectares of topsoil in India alone to make bricks, because we are the biggest manufacturers of bricks.
Yeah.
7,000 hectares of topsoil being consumed only to make brick, and it is burnt.
Yeah.
Right? So after the brick dies, it can't even become sand.
Oh.
It can't even become soil.
Okay.
It becomes a burnt mixture.
Ah.
Right? So it's a huge challenge. You can't grow in it.
Correct.
Right? But if I'm looking at CSEB blocks,
Hmm.
for example,
Hmm.
which is compressed, stabilized earth blocks, I can powder it and most of it becomes earth back.
Earth back. Yeah.
Right? So things like that, we need to look at not just what happens when you design a building and close it, but what happens even beyond it.
Correct.
What happens to it cycle much longer than what we are consuming.
So now, but whomsoever claims sustainable are not using such kind of a system somewhere which I have seen, but only in the aesthetic way which they show it as a sustainable. For example, be it a brick glass, be it a clay tile, or rest of the other things they go with that modern construction, not the conventional way of construction, modern construction way of construction. So how do we justify, okay, this is a sustainable building?
Okay. Look, again, for me, sustainability is not just in the way we use materials.
Okay.
You need to know how to handle spaces.
Yeah.
How do you design spaces which does not use too many materials?
Okay.
Number one.
Hmm.
First is reduction of materials.
Hmm.
Second is how are you going to use those materials in a way that it has a longer life cycle.
Okay.
Or it has life even after the building goes to the landfill.
Ah.
Third is the way we handle natural resources
Okay.
like wind, like sun, and how do we integrate it into our buildings,
Okay.
right? I mean, for me, this is my strong belief that if I'm using lithium to store electricity, and say I'm using sun power,
Yeah.
solar power to use and store the thing in a lithium battery, which has a life cycle, and then
Yeah.
it becomes a landfill.
Correct.
Then is that sustainable?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Yeah.
I would rather allow sunlight to come inside my building
Yeah.
and not use artificial light till late evening.
Yeah.
And the way you play around and make that into an aesthetic thing. So of course, a lot of greenwashing is happening today. A lot of greenwashing everywhere. Even a lot of certifications which literally ask for a building to be air conditioned.
Yeah.
To be certified is to be questionable in a tropical climate like ours.
Correct.
Right? So this idea of what is sustainable is something which we need to introspect and even question whether it's only about material. It's not about material.
Yeah.
If I'm using, say for example, we all say Attangudi tiles is sustainable material. But it's made of concrete.
Yeah.
But is marble good for Bangalore? Am I getting marble from Rajasthan and putting it? Then the definition of distance between sourcing and consumption is too long.
Yeah.
But Bangalore does not allow for marble to be a comfortable material, because if you look at people using marble, you'll find that people start wearing chappals after a second, because the behavior of marble is to allow the coldness to come into your body. So you question that. So you start looking at all those parameters when you're designing sustainable buildings.
Now, two biggest question what comes to as a professionals where we have practice, right? So when clients come over to us for a design, we provide a service for them for residential or a commercial building, and how to convince them to opt this sustainable design or accept sustainable material. Because the challenge when it comes to our regular practices, when client comes to us, they want a luxurious house, and what is the definition for luxury for them is in aesthetic way, making it with marble material or any other glass material, more of it. When you use it, then only they consider that is like a luxurious house. I'm doing some bungalows where they are particular. I don't let them to use a marble cladding in the exterior facade, but they are very much insisting. Why? Because they want that building to look great in that area. How do we convince those kind of clients to opt sustainable?
Right. Fortunately, because of the years of practice I have, that question is not arising for me now. Because a lot of people come to us because of the kind of work that we do. Right? And they want it to be like that. So, but when you do have a few people who come in because they've heard about us, they come to us and you talk to them. When you really talk to them and say, is it a house you want? Because look, especially if it's a residence, to build a house is a person's life goal.
Correct.
It is as important as educating a child,
or their marriage,
or handling a marriage, or building a house.
Correct.
Their life goals, big goals.
Yeah.
Okay, and you are dealing with that goal. You need to respect that. As an architect, I have to respect that dream.
Correct.
Right? And you need to push them to understand. So I question this whole idea with them, whether they say, is a house a place for you to stay in and feel relaxed? Or is it a house which you want to show off for is it a prestige symbol or a space for you to stay in?
Yeah.
And invariably, a lot of people say it's I want to come back home and feel relaxed. You do have clients, especially the political clients who come and say, no, we need to showcase ourselves as something. Okay, you respect that.
Yeah.
You do that for those kind of clients. But most of the people who come in who want to build a house as a dream, where status symbol is not a requirement, not to make a statement, but to leave. They get convinced.
Yeah.
They accept the fact that you need to build a house which is comfortable. So if you look at some of our videos, you will find that people coming and saying, I come back home after all my travels and I'm at peace.
True.
And that is what this kind of houses does.
Okay. And the second important question is, in that, is there a myth called like sustainable is cost effective, or it is going to budget wise, it is very cost effective compared to normal other construction, or is it the same?
Okay. I would say these are two different parameters.
Okay.
Cost effectiveness and environmentally sensitiveness is not the same.
Okay.
You can make a very expensive environmental sensitive building,
Okay.
or you can also make a very cheap environmentally sensitive building.
Okay.
It depends on how you approach it.
Uh-huh.
So if somebody comes to us and say I don't mind building out of debris. So I'm using waste as a resource material to build something out for them.
Okay.
But somebody comes and says, I don't want to use anything from the past and I want everything to be very new. Of course the cost goes up, right? But I would not say it is overtly expensive.
Okay.
It is not overtly expensive.
Okay.
Right? But I would not say it's too cheap too.
Yeah.
It is effective to its cost.
Okay. Compared to our normal conventional method, which they do.
I would say it's almost the same.
Same, no?
It's almost the
It
same.
is the same.
What we see in today's cost, approximately in Bangalore, a building which is the kind of work which we do is approximately anywhere between 2,300 to 2,700 rupees per square.
Same with
Which is the
normal
same as any
conventional
building-
method, any building.
building materials.
Which they are using marble flooring and everything. Even they will go through that
Yes.
kind of expenses. So the next point is, you need any skilled particular laborers or even contractors for this, or even a normal contractors can do sustainable buildings?
It needs training for a day or two.
Okay.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
We're not doing machinery here.
Okay.
You just have to know how to place one brick or the other, or the way you allow for mortar to be managed, or the way you look at roof slabs, or you look at filler slab, or you look at a jack arch roof, or a
Okay.
dome or a vault. It is a little bit of a skill, no doubt. It is a little bit of labor intensive, no doubt. But it's not rocket science where only a skilled person has to do it. There are certain crafts which are used in a building which need certain skill. Say, for example, oxide flooring is a skill.
Okay.
Just like laying tiles is also a skill. It can't be done by somebody who builds a wall to lay the tile or to paint a wall. You need a skill for oxide floors.
Good. Then what about materials? See, for example, in the normal, I don't know how to name it, because that luxury prestigious house will have a marble flooring, SS and glass railings in the elevation facades, and also in the internal staircase we'll use lot of be it veneer, be it charcoal, for making it luxurious and all that. What is the alternative material when it comes to sustainable, where we can, for example, I'll tell you an example. I'm in love with that flooring which happens naturally with the cement work. Anyhow, we have done the slab casting on that. We are going to do cement flooring. That would be great. Nowadays there is a epoxy which has come, which will look like you can create a texture of travertina or some satwario. Why can't we promote such kind of flooring in sustainable, and it looks the same like a marble? So why do we go with the same old way of showing as a slab flooring itself?
Yeah, I think it has just not been marketed enough.
Okay.
I would rather put it like this. It's
Okay.
just not marketed enough.
Okay.
I don't see any challenge in using oxide floor, or I don't see any challenge using epoxy floor, which are two different.
Yeah.
You're talking about it as
Yeah.
good material, bad material. It's not a
Okay.
bad material.
Yeah.
No, there's no material as bad.
Yeah.
It's only to see that how can that material end up without
Okay.
going to a landfill.
Okay.
And in the way you use it, the inherent energy it has
Okay.
to manufacture it is not too much.
Okay.
It's like saying use home cooked food or you buy a packaged food,
Okay.
which laced with preservatives.
But is sustainable accepts it if instead of epoxy it could be something which can give the effect, because we are seeing nowadays in the wall, whatever, instead of wallpaper we are definitely painting it, and we are introducing some of the textures in it. It looks like a rustic finish, or it looks like a wallpaper, so which is again a paint which you are generally using, ending up with doing the wall painting, or you are leaving the exposed brick cladding. If in case any material comes in the flooring where it can be projected out. Now this oxide flooring, whatever you are doing, if any system introduced or any technology is introduced where it will end up looking like a marble, then sustainable architecture will accept
Yeah,
it
you
if there
have.
is
No, say for example, if I'm going back to crafts in Kerala, which is what is called as Pavarati finish.
Okay.
They give you marble finished floors, marble finished walls, which looks exactly the same, but it is using lime and cement and certain oxides.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of material. We can. Okay.
You can.
So that we can convince the client
same
that
feel using natural material.
So that we can convince the client, boss, you want that.
But I'll tell you what. One of the biggest myths is that sustainability is not equal to quality. Is a myth.
Yeah, that is what I'm telling you. Because end users, laymen's, who doesn't know. See, because always in the market, how it is named, whichever the building you see with exposed brick. Okay, because they doesn't want, some of the people I have seen, they want murdered brick wall to be exposed. So normal public, whichever they have seen that particular building, they feel it, okay, this is a low budget house or just an sustainable building.
That's a myth.
That is what I'm
saying. Say for example, if we are using a hollow clay block.
Yeah.
My hollow clay block costs 2.5 times that of concrete blocks.
Correct. Definitely.
Right? Of the same size.
Yeah.
But because you don't plaster it on either side, the cost becomes equal to a concrete block.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
So it does not. It is just that 9 block needs to be taken off.
So that is very important. Why? Because people think, okay, I can never have a marble flooring. So when it comes to particularly tile marble and our what we use general flooring in sustainable red oxide.
It could be oxide. It could be anything. I mean, we use Betam Charla, we use Tandoor, Kadapa, we use.
So now, how do you place in the rating? If the marble would be not totally acceptable.
Okay, I will tell you, if somebody comes to me and says, I want a marble finish, right? I would definitely ask them to go in for a Pavarati finish.
Okay.
Because it's much more environmentally sensitive. And you're able to get a seamless finish without any joints up to whatever height you want or whatever width you want.
Good.
Right? So even marble has a joint.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If you want to have a wall completely 8 by 8 or 8 by 10 without any joints, you're able to do that.
Okay, then I have to check with that material and promote that kind of material. See, that is the problem.
It's a craft.
Yeah, that is the problem. And costing wise, actually, in fact, that would be low compared to our marble.
It's still, the labor is quite intensive.
Yeah, but still, I would say marble for us, in regular what we are using, any marble you choose would be 450 rupees per square feet.
Definitely much lower.
And the labor, they claim that is 150, 180 rupees, which is not true. End user will not understand. Client will always compare the quotation with 100 rupees and 150 rupees. But actually, the running feet, for example, one step I am doing, one razor, which is about 6 inch, one step which is width has having a 4 feet. So for 4 feet, for the razor and the other resting thread space to join, he make one pencil round over there, make our 45 degree, or he will jet it out about 1 inch. So all that costing, if I consider, it is not 150 rupees per square feet. For me, it is 400 to 500 rupees per square feet I am spending. So now, per step, I am spending 1000 rupees to 2,500 rupees. If we compare this kind of material, actually, in fact, this is less. Only thing is that, first of all, design professionals, many people doesn't do a lot of research on the products. They lack with lot of material knowledge, including me as well. I'm not, because we need to spend.
There's a huge plethora of materials available.
There's
so much of materials available, you don't know how to.
Correct. And second thing is, if we start promoting these kind of material, one is it is locally made, and second thing, as you told, we can go beyond that joints and everything. And third important thing, it is replaceable. Major thing is in marble, you can't ever replace it, because the epoxy or even the chemical which we are using, adhesives, is very strong, and you have to break it. Even after 2 days or 1 day or 8 hours, some adhesive are so strong, even after 8 hours, if I have to remove, I have to break it. It won't come as a piece at all. So that is the reason these are the products which need to be promoted, and mentors like you, do that research, you will understand, and you know what is the material permutation and combination which can be used.